Welcome, 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 Miracles, and thank you so much for joining our broadcast on today. Here at the Miracles Podcast, our purpose is to share our stories and testimonies with one another while uplifting and inspiring. And I'm so excited to have our guest with us today. She is such a treasure and a tremendous blessing to so many. Miss Tai Caldwell, thank you for joining, lady.
It is a blessing and an honor to be here, LaTonya. I thank you and I just appreciate you giving me the
Oh.
opportunity because you didn't have to.
Oh, it is my pleasure. You are such a blessing to me and so many. So I had to bring you on. So we're going to get started. I know a little bit about you, but our listeners may not know that much yet about you. So could you share something that, just a little bit about yourself to get them acquainted with who you are?
Well, my name is Tai Caldwell. I am blessed. I am favored. I have the wonderful opportunity of being a community outreach coordinator for Stand Up Speak Out of North Carolina.
Yes.
And a number of people may know what that is, and a number of people may not. So, Stand Up Speak Out of North Carolina is a 501c3,
Mm-hmm.
and we are advocates for children who are victims and survivors of domestic violence. I apologize, victims and witnesses
Mm-hmm.
of domestic violence and sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what we do. And the difference in us and a number of other organizations is that we actually incorporate art therapy to help our young ones with processing and getting on their journey to healing. So a lot of times with our young people, when they have experienced trauma, such as being in a domestic violence relationship, or either seeing it at home or seeing some type of sexual assault or experiencing sexual assault, they don't know how to vocalize it,
Mm-hmm.
but they know how to do movement as far as dance.
Wow.
They know how to write it out in a poem. They may express it in painting. They may express
Right.
it in drawing. They may end up expressing it in spoken word. So we end up using creative arts to help them in that journey. So I love it. I
Awesome.
love I love Stand Up Speak Out. I love what we do.
Yeah, you all are amazing. I've followed you all for years. I've always wanted to be a part because I actually saw how you all use the art therapy. And as you know, I'm a singer. So
Yes.
even as a child, I would use music as therapy. So who was the one that really inspired that art therapy piece? Did you all do research first, or was it just something that you all knew that worked for yourselves?
Stand Up Speak Out was birthed through Monica Day.
Hmm.
And I pause because it's hard for me to just say Monica Day. I have to say the amazing, the outstanding, the
Wow.
phenomenal executive director, Monica Day, who was mostly known for being a spoken word artist before
Okay.
all of this. She is the author of multiple books. She had her own radio show. She was
Wow.
setting the stage on fire and all of that. But she is also a survivor of sexual violence. She was actually raped in a church when she was, I want to say, 11,
Oh no.
if I'm not mistaken, and came up and dealt with a lot of anger,
Mm,
a lot of trauma, a lot of trying to process everything. And her go-to was poetry. But
mm,
then as she got older, she wanted to offer what was not there for her when she was younger.
mhm.
Her parents didn't have that support for someone to come and talk to their daughter that looked like her,
Yeah.
or knew how to deal with what she was dealing with, right?
Mhm.
And she started off doing the Breathe Life Sister Circle, which we actually still have, which is a group of women who come together to just be, not to
Okay.
come and be mommy, wife, um, business person, minister, but to just come together. So that was the first thing that started. And then it grew. It grew from Breathe
Wow.
Life Sister Circle to working with our young ones. And spoken word for her was what is the word, cathartic. That it was
Mhm.
cathartic for her, so it worked
Okay.
for her. And then of course she ended up doing more background and search on that, and just utilizing it and seeing, wow, this works. This not only works for me, but it also works for our young people and how they are processing through their pain and their trauma.
That's amazing. I just want to tell you all, keep striving and doing that amazing work in our community, because I don't know, but I don't know of any other organizations that are doing what Stand Up Speak Out is doing. So thank you. I just want to personally thank you all for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just hope that this will help spread the word on the organization, because I know there are people dealing with that need help. So thank you, thank you,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Absolutely. And what
Yeah.
I apologize. One of the things that you said is that you would love to help. I am
Hmm.
telling you, there's plenty of opportunities. You can go to susonc.org. That's
Okay.
susonc.org. So sometimes you'll hear us say stand up, speak out, and sometimes you'll hear us say SUSO. But
Okay.
if you would go there and just, complete the form, we need volunteers. That is one of the main things that we need for a number of different positions within the organization.
Okay. I sure will. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
listeners, if you all are interested as well, we need more help in our communities. Please
Yes.
go to susonc.org.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So, also, can you share with our listeners something in your life that stands out for you that says God did this? Because we see our testimonies and our stories as miracles and things that only God can get glory from. And hopefully, it will uplift and inspire someone with their current situation.
Well, right now it is May the
Hmm.
21st, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that is big. I'm a serious mental health uh, advocate or mental health awareness advocate,
Hmm.
especially in our community. For those who cannot see me, I am a Black woman. I am a Black woman, and the reason that I mention that is because I've seen in our community that oftentimes when we hear the word mental health, our mind automatically goes to mental illness.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when we think about mental illness, we think about the person in the straight jacket bouncing off the walls.
Hmm.
Now, when people see me, they see me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, she's so bubbly, she's so happy, she's so excited. Ty, she's always so encouraging." And they wouldn't look at me and know that I deal with major depressive disorder.
Wow.
They would never know I was diagnosed with that.
Hmm.
So I utilize my life to help highlight that, and I utilize my life to talk about the goodness of God when it comes to that. I
Amen.
yeah, I was dealing with depression in elementary school.
Wow.
So yeah, elementary school, I was dealing with that, and I was the child that was getting the A's and B's. However, I had issues with my behavior. So I'm so old. This was before they was doing numbers like they're doing now. I'm
Yeah.
so I'm
No,
so
I'm not calling you old, but that did cross my mind, because I think we're around the same age. But I know there are studies coming out now saying that a lot of children did suffer from depression back in, the 80s, early 90s, but they just didn't know it.
yeah. Cause like what you gotta be depressed about? All you gotta do is go to school and listen to the teacher. You don't
Hmm.
have any bills to pay. I mean, you don't have to cook or anything. What's your problem? And the other thing is, you just taught to be tough. So I was dealing with depression and I used to write a lot. So going back to
Mm.
what you said about art therapy, I was writing short stories. I was doing poetry before I even really knew what poetry was. And
Cool.
however, I was still depressed and I had issues with authority. And they started sending me to a school counselor. And they started sending me to a school counselor. And one particular day, the school counselor asked me about how my day was. And I was like, it was fine, except I got in trouble and Miss Doyle took my diary, because I had a notebook and I called it a diary.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Oh, you have a diary?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, what do you write in it?" And I told her, and she asked me if I ever felt like hurting myself, or
Hmm.
she might have used the word suicide. I'm not sure. And
Hmm.
I was like, "Well, yeah, but I don't feel like that today." Well, I
Hmm.
didn't think anything of it. Well, you're required to report that if
Right.
a child discloses.
Yeah.
And she did. The principal went, obtained the diary, and then they called my mother. I guess they called for Child Protective Services as well. and they told my mother that she was going to have to take me to go get evaluated.
Oh, wow.
And so at the time, I was living with my grandfather, and my mother was very upset, didn't go too well,
Mm-hmm.
very upset. I went to get evaluated, and the guys asking me questions, and I knew the answer right. Well, how do you feel about yourself? I'm fine. Oh, well, and I was biting my nails. Biting your nails is a sign that you don't love yourself. And so I stopped biting my nails, and I'm looking at him, and I'm just answering all the right questions. I'm not telling him that I hate myself. I hate
Mm-hmm.
what I see in the mirror. Um, I sometimes I wish I was dead. I made sure not to say that to him because I got in so much trouble
Yeah.
because my mother had to get off work and come pick me up, and she's like, they said they're gonna take me to jail if I don't take you to go get evaluated. So it was just bad.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, I didn't trust therapists. I didn't trust counselors. I was taken away from my grandfather. My mother made me go live with her, which was bad. So
Mm-hmm.
my mother did not know how to show. She didn't know how to nurture. So she didn't know how to nurture. She was always working. Uh, and when she was home, it was just bad. And I
Mm-hmm.
was getting bullied where I was at. So it was years later when I actually learned, how do you deal with your mental health?
Okay.
How do you deal with not loving yourself? How do you identify, no, this is called depression. You're not just sad. You don't just have the blues.
Mm-hmm.
And what ended up happening, the short, just going through the short version, I was cutting. I began cutting in middle school.
Oh.
And for those who do not know, it's self-harm. Sometimes people will use a razor, they may use a knife,
Mm-hmm.
and they start cutting, and there are endorphins, which is a hormone in your body that's usually called like the happy endorphin, the
Mm-hmm.
happy hormones. And a number of people, it's girls and guys, but it's very prevalent among girls. They cut because they're trying to find a way to process their emotion. They don't know how
Mm.
to do it. They don't know how to deal with the sadness. They don't know how to deal with the anger. They don't know how to deal with the anxiety. And they start cutting. And that is what I was doing. And then time passed. I did not do it for a while. And I became an adult and was dealing with some major trauma and was cutting. And it had gotten bad. It,
Mm.
it, it was it was it was gonna get bad this night. Let me do it that way. I walked down the street. I had a razor. I went off to the side street, and I'm cutting, and I'm singing this song that one of my friends sung in a play that we were in. And it was, does God hear my prayer? Then on
Mm.
another part, it's like, does God hear me cry? Does God feel my pain? Does God see my tears?
Wow.
And I'm singing this song, and a police car pulls up behind me. Now we're in the country. Police
Mm-hmm.
car pulls up behind me, doesn't flash a light, doesn't get out, doesn't say anything to me. And it was like God was answering, like, I'm not going to let you go too far with this, because
Wow.
I was getting to the point of really not feeling the cuts. And it can get to that point with people.
Mm.
So I'm frustrated because this cop car is there. Of course, I can't cut in front of this cop car. So I throw the razor down, and I sort of like drop it so they don't see I had something in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I go back home, but I can't shake this feeling. And I'm telling you, one of the worst times to fight with the enemy is at night.
Mm.
Something about that nighttime. And I'm just about to cut, and it was bad. So let me go ahead and do this, because people may be wondering what was going on, what was the traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'd had an abortion earlier that year.
Oh.
This was 2008,
Okay.
and this was in June, and I was not a person that believed in abortions. I was that person that was like, hey, if you laid down, you knew what you was doing, you know how babies are made. And it was just one thing, not even one thing after another. It was a culmination of my decisions just coming up on me. And I kept going through life like nothing happened, but it was always there. It was present just every day. So the cutting was like, it wasn't just me not knowing how to process my emotions. It was also punishment to myself for killing a child and killing a life inside of me. So that's what was going on.
So you were
And
like in a condemnation mode. You were just feeling
absolutely.
condemned.
Absolutely. That is a
Wow.
great way to say that. And the reason that I'm saying that now, because I've been open about it before, but the reason I'm saying that now, someone may be listening to this podcast and they need to understand that you can get on the other side of through, but you're going to have to go through, baby.
Yeah.
There's no shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
So me attempting to take the shortcuts left me in a place of condemnation. And I didn't deal with and process what I did. So I'm there, I come back home and I can't shake this feeling. So I grab another razor. And instead of walking out the yard, I sat on this big rock that's in front of our yard. And I was just cutting and the blood is running down my arm and running down my fingertips and just dripping onto the rock below. And there's this pool of blood that's just growing. And when I was done, I came into the house. I'm sitting on the couch and my grandfather, who was legally blind, so he would see more like shadows. So even though there were tears coming down my face, he couldn't see my tears.
Wow.
And he comes into the kitchen and it's probably like the middle of the morning, maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I don't know. He's come to get something to drink and he's like, why are you sitting on the couch in the dark like that? And I was like, oh, I'm just sitting here thinking. And he was like, nah. He's like, it's something going on. And he doesn't see the tears coming down my face and he doesn't see the blood on my arm. And he goes back to bed. And I don't know if I went to sleep or if I didn't go to sleep or not. But the next morning, I called my pastor because, again, I'm this person that's smiling and happy-go-lucky and everything else. And I called her and I'm like, Pastor, I need you to come see me. And she's like, oh, okay, because at the time I'm the secretary of the church. So it's just a whole lot of stuff that's going on.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. And she's like, oh, okay, I'm going to come by and we're going to get some work done and everything else. And I was like, okay. And my mind is like, that's not what you need. But I get off the phone and I hear as clear as day, you're going to die. You're going to die. And I had to make a decision as to whether I was going to continue to wear this mask as though everything was okay and that I'm the strong one and that I have it together, or am I going to go ahead and be transparent and let it be known, look, I need some help. And I called her back and I said, Pastor, I don't need to do any work. And she says, okay, all right. And when she came to see me, I was wearing long sleeves. So she didn't see the cutting. And I said, I need some help. That's what I ended up saying. And then she was like, well, what do you need? And I was like, oh, I need some mental help. And she asked me, she said, well, do you feel like you need like in the institution? Like, well, well, she might've said facility. She might not have said institution. I said, yeah, because I knew for myself that if I was left alone, that I was going to end up cutting too deep and I was going to bleed out. And I did not want my grandfather to find me dead. It wasn't because I wanted to live. It was because I didn't want my grandfather to find me dead.
Wow. So you put someone else's emotions and someone else's like cares before your own. Basically.
Absolutely. Because at this point, I don't feel like I'm worthy of too much anyway.
Yeah.
And so I actually did voluntary admission to Holly Hill. And I was there for about 5 days. I was there for about 5 days and I did talk therapy. The lady that was there, she talked about a prescription, and I am not against meds. Let me be clear. I'm not against meds because some people need that to get regulated. But for myself, I knew that my issue had been that I was carrying this all this time, right? One of the things, I know that it was my faith in God, what had been planted in me that got me through this time. It wasn't just the talk therapy, but it was the him sending the police car right on time. before I cut too deep. It was him having my grandfather get up when he got up for me to have in my mind the next morning, I don't want him to find me dead somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't believe in coincidence at all. It was just everything, him just being in place and still showing that I was loved even when I didn't love myself. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So all the years pass later. Years pass, I end up going to therapy for some time. I got past that. I got to the place where I don't wear masks anymore, and acting like everything is okay. So that was just a lot. That was a process for me. And then as I grew older, because I was 28 then, gosh, that was 12 years ago. So since then, I've been the person that's been very like open about, look, this is what depression looks like, baby. And I'll walk, and I actually did 2 productions or 2 events last year. Very blessed to do that. They showed, hey, this is what depression looks like. And I had on my makeup and my earrings and a cute outfit and my boots and was carrying my bag. I'm like, this is what major depressive disorder looks like. Everything is okay. And when I tell you that it was nothing but God that brought that together and placed people in my circle who trust me enough to say, Tai, you're not the only one that's dealing with that. And to be able to do this event, not even over an extended period of time, I think we pulled together maybe about a month for one and a month for the other.
Wow.
Nothing but God. Because what happened was last year, LaTonya, I couldn't, my passion was, it felt like it was waning. Like I would do what I needed to do because I'm a community outreach coordinator. So I'm working with the kids and facilitating groups. And I'm also the youth minister over at Grace AME Zion Church, downtown Raleigh, where Pastor James Davis is pastor, phenomenal pastor there. And I mean, we have amazing kids. So I'm doing this work, I'm getting that done, but I can't figure out, like, I can't do any extra. Like anything extra was too much. And I talked to Monica about it, our executive director with Stand Up Speak Out, and I couldn't figure it out. And one day I'm coming home, I'm driving, and I said, am I depressed? Because I wasn't sad. I wasn't sad. I was just like, I don't have too much energy to do this and this and this. And I come home, I'm sitting in the bed. My sister comes by to see me, and she looks at me dead in my face, and she says, are you depressed? I said, probably so. Probably am. And I text Monica, and I was like, sis, it's depression. That's why I couldn't figure it out. And she responded with an article, and she says, sis, you might be dealing with high functioning depression. Never heard of that before. I'm like, high functioning? Because I have dealt with depression where, girl, it puts you down. Like, you sleepy, draw the curtains. When I'm over it, I'll come out just deep blues and everything. Like, And so when she said that, and I'm reading the details and how much you can still get stuff done and you on point. But you feeling off and your passion is waning and it's just too much. And sometimes you might deal with brain fog. It was just a number of different things. And so when that happened, I said, I looked back over months and I realized I'd been talking to other people about something is off with me. And I remember the other people saying, yo, Tai, I'm dealing with that too. I don't know what it is. So when I recognized what was going on with me, I reached out to other people and I said, I keep seeing mental health awareness. People keep using this hashtag, but I did not see where anybody was really addressing and getting details on what does awareness look like. So I reached out to folks in my circle and I'm like, look, this is what I'm dealing with. I need you. I'm good for calling for someone else. I'm great at doing it, but I'm calling for me now. I'm just getting over, and I had to talk to my husband about it, what was going on with me. He ended up asking me, well, why was I depressed? And I had to trace where that was coming from. And it was just a lot of work. And so I got spoken word artists together. I got singers together. One of my friends, he actually sings, does spoken word, and is a visual artist. And he was actually part of the second one. So we did one at Reed City in Durham. That was
Oh,
in,
wow.
yes. I'm trying to figure out if that was early November or October. Either way, we did that there, but I knew I needed to do a church edition. So we did that in December. And the reason that I want to do a church edition, LaTonya, is because we are great for saying just give it to Jesus and lay it on the altar.
You're right about that. You are right about that.
You know what I'm saying? You depressed. Well, that's because you ain't prayed enough to Jesus, and we need to go slap this oil on you, baby. Come lay it at the altar and let him make it all right. And and so I love the fact that now we're at a place where we can say it's okay to have Jesus and a therapist too. So at the first one that I did and the second one I did, people reached out to me in my inbox and they were like, you had this therapist that was there. I think her name was Dr. Bunch. Can you give me her information? Ty, I was dealing with this too. Thank you so much. Since you did that, I made an appointment. Ty, I'm going to talk, and this is men and women.
Wow. See, it's needed in the community.
And that is what I mean when I point back to God, that God would take a child that was so broken, a child who did not love herself, a child that felt like, yo, I'm not wanted, and the world will be just fine if I wasn't here, and to end
Jesus.
up making me a mouthpiece and advocate for people who feel like they don't have a voice.
Yeah, yeah.
Or they don't feel like their voice matters.
Yeah. He turned that pain into your purpose.
Oh yeah, hon.
Woo.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what we call a miracle.
Indeed.
Look at that. Look at that.
Because some
He's
people they break. But go ahead, I apologize.
No, you're fine. I was just thinking about the time when you said the police car came up behind you. It's just reminded me of the scripture, how it says he will never leave us nor forsake us.
Very
You
true.
know, and I had a similar situation like when I was in college and I was struggling a little bit. Well, a little bit, it was a lot, and
say a lot of
like,
it.
a lot.
Yes.
I was a single mother and just going to school full time and working. It was just a lot. And one time just my car broke down on the side of the road, and I was like, Lord, I know what your word said. You said you never leave me nor forsake me. And I was just sitting there on the trunk of my car, and right when I said that, somebody rolled up and helped me get home.
Yes.
So it's just amazing how he will send people our way to show his love for us. He's amazing.
Absolutely.
Wow. So how did you get to a place where you pulled that barrier down that you had built up, concerning counselors and being transparent? Because now you're a very transparent person.
Yes.
Like,
Very
what
much
was the
so.
process of going through that? How can you help somebody with that?
The process of going, thank you. That is a great question. So for me, when that voice that day said, you're going to die,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to make a decision, that was the first thing.
Yeah.
Because even though I wasn't trying to live for me, I had to make the decision of you can't wear the mask and get help too.
Right.
You're not going to be able to do both. So oftentimes we go through and we feel like nobody is there to support us and no one has our back. And it's because either someone's hurt us and betrayed us before,
Mm-hmm.
and we feel like everyone is going to do that. And we have to get to the point that everyone is not the same.
Right.
Everyone is not the same. Well, I've had 5, 6, 10 people do that before. Well, that may not be because of everyone. That might be because of your judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been there. I've had poor judgment before. As I shared with you earlier, if you have 10 relationships and all of them are dysfunctional,
Right.
if you have 10 relationships and everyone is treating you badly and everyone is using you and everyone is only calling you when they want money or they want to get something from you, the common denominator there is you.
Yeah.
So, and though that may seem hard, the main thing is self-awareness. So I knew for myself, the self-awareness was I'm going to die if I don't change this.
Yeah.
And in order for me to live, I got to do something different. What I was doing wasn't working. Me wearing the mask and acting like everything was okay was working up to an extent, up to a point, and then it was over because I'm about to snap out. I'm about to cut too deep. I'm about to bleed out. This mask is no longer serving me well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that, for those who are people of faith, to like literally be talking to God like, God, I don't know what to do with this. Help me in
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not a person of faith, all right, what you are going to need to do is like for real. I'm trying to send everybody to therapy. Let me be clear on that. I'm like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
um, and people may think that it costs a lot. Well, all therapists don't cost a lot. At least
Mm-mm.
call and find out, do they take insurance? Do they not
Yeah,
take
because some
insurance?
do now. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Because I go to one, she takes insurance, and she also takes me if you don't have insurance. Her name is
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Carol Bunch.
Okay.
Uh, but the other thing is and for people who talk about the money thing, I would say that many of us find money to do what we want to do. If you're
Right.
out and you're getting your nails done every week and getting your hair done every week and you getting your lashes and your makeup, hey, that is fine. Be fly. But if you broken on the inside and you like $1 million on the outside,
Help us, sister. Help us.
I'm going to need you to invest in some healing.
Come on. I like that. Invest
Yeah,
in some healing.
yeah, invest in some healing for real, for real.
Yeah.
And I don't want to leave out our men, because a lot of times our men are dealing with mental health issues,
Yeah.
and we're like, suck that up, be tough. You don't have no
Mm-hmm.
time to be crying. You don't have no time to be vulnerable. And we applaud anger and these outbursts. And it's like, where is that coming from? Because anger usually
Yeah.
comes from some hurt.
Mm-hmm.
To start talking about what you're dealing with, for me, journaling is great. So
Yeah.
even if you don't get to a therapist yet, to write down what you're feeling, how you're feeling on a regular basis, so you can go back and look at that.
Mm-hmm.
To utilize some coping skills. And I will send you some articles, so when you post this, you can post it in there with the
Right.
post it in the description, like learning coping skills, learning some breathing exercises, learning grounding exercises, something as simple as you're sitting in a chair and you're noticing your weight on the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Feel where the chair touches your legs. Feel where your back touches the back of the chair. Okay. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel how the chair is holding your weight. Okay. Be aware of the position of your head. And you'll notice that your breathing is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Notice your fingertips. Notice your breathing, how your breath goes in through your nose, down your throat, into your lungs, out of your lung, like coping and grounding exercises that can help you when you are about to lose it,
Yeah.
or when you just need to come back, or when you're replaying something bad that's happened over and over
Yeah.
again,
Ooh.
and you need to break that cycle.
Break it.
You have to replace it with a different thought. You can't just say, I'm not going to think about this. That
Mm-hmm.
ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
Yeah.
a habit. You don't just break a habit. No, you replace it with another habit.
That's right.
You replace a bad habit with a good habit.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Like,
And I
honey,
will
I'm learning.
definitely put some of the information in the description
Yes, ma'am.
below in under the video.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for sharing that. Also, we can't expect everyone to love us the way that we love. We
True.
have to remember that people are not perfect, and we
True.
need to love and forgive like Jesus loved us. And I love how you said we need to learn to also process our emotions, process
Yes.
our feelings. So
Mm-hmm.
with the educated professional, this is the second time this is coming up. I had another interview with the wonderful lady, Miss Bonita, and we were talking about the same thing. So this is very important, ladies and gentlemen. It's
Yes.
very important to get with an educated professional to teach you to process your emotions. You need to learn boundaries and self-care.
Woo!
Self-care, which is something that people forget about. They think just because they're accomplishing things, they are just doing it up and just busy, 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 but they're
Mm-hmm.
forgetting about themselves. You know what I mean? Even before we came on this, started recording this podcast, I had to take a moment to just breathe, and I had a moment of self-care. I won't tell you everything I did because it's just none of everybody's business.
I understand, girl. I understand. That's all right.
But, I took care of myself
Yeah.
because I want to make sure I'm giving my all to you and to the people. It's just very important. And boundaries,
Absolutely.
So once we get to certain ages, we just learn things about ourselves. And we just need to seek others and professionals to help us.
Yes, indeed. I mean, the thing is when it comes to if we have high blood pressure or if we have a headache going on, many
Mhm.
people will take something for the headache. And somebody's out there saying, no, I don't take that. I just tough it out. Okay, well,
Mhm.
you get where the analogy is going. Don't be so extra.
Right.
Because people want to be stuck in, well, no, I don't do that. And it's like, stop. We're talking about something important. Even
Yes.
if you don't take anything for a headache, if you had high blood pressure and you were changing your diet and it still didn't help, more than likely you're going to end up taking some type of medication for that.
Mhm.
And we don't look at people wrong when they go to the doctor because they are dealing with cancer or they're dealing with
Yeah.
diabetes or they're dealing with high blood
Yeah.
pressure. But oftentimes in our community, when it comes to mental health issues or mental illness, because you
Mhm.
can have mental health issues and it's not necessarily an illness. You might
Right.
just be too stressed and
Yeah.
you need to learn some self-care. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mhm.
Like you
Mhm.
taking on too much, you have too much on
Mhm.
your plate. I'm gonna need you to take some of that off.
Exactly.
Stop trying to do everything for the kids. They are
Help
18
us.
and 19 years old. They can wash their own clothes. They don't need you doing that, mama.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Woo.
saying? Dad, they don't need you going to try to save them every time they get in trouble. No, no, you're going to
Mm-mm.
handle that. I'm not coming to talk to your teacher. You handle
No.
it. You're behind on your work. That's a stress thing. That's not
It
mental
is.
illness. But again, it goes back to self-care. So we need to learn how to again be self-aware and understand that when this starts affecting your day-to-day life, it's an issue.
Mhm.
So that's how you end up realizing that you're off balance mentally when it's affecting your relationships, where like all the relationships are dysfunctional, or people keep wondering, like, why are you up and down? Like you usually want to go out and you don't want to go out anymore. Or,
Mm.
okay, let's say that you're an introvert. Well, it's cool. Even though people don't really know it, I'm an introvert. I like staying at home. I like being to myself. I like reading
Me
books.
too.
I love learning. But when I go out, I'm very social.
Yeah.
But if you're an introvert and things that you used to enjoy, you don't enjoy them anymore,
Yeah,
that's
that's
an
a big
issue.
sign.
It's a
Mhm.
sign. So one of the main things that I would tell people to do is do some research
Mhm.
and learn about yourself and do research and look at reputable websites
Yes.
and look at therapists and people who are licensed and go and research.
Mhm.
Don't just be like, oh, Wikipedia. No, don't do that.
Right. And we'll
You
have
know,
some links in the description.
absolutely.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
our listeners, because we want to give you everything you need. If you need help, you feel free to message me if you want to get in touch with Miss Ty. I'm quite sure she'll
Mhm.
be willing. You
Oh
know,
yeah, I'm gonna point you
um,
to some people that can help.
yeah. So thank you for all that. You are truly a miracle and inspiration.
I
So,
appreciate it.
speaking of inspiration, how do you seek to inspire others?
Oh my goodness, I love teaching, and when I say that,
Oh,
I love facilitating workshops
okay.
and incorporating acting or incorporating theater. Let me do it that way.
Oh,
Incorporating theater to teach.
fun.
Yes, absolutely fun.
Hmm.
Doing different characters. Utilizing poetry. So, for example, like I said, with the two events that we did last year with the mental health awareness, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't just go up and say, well, mental health is actually the state of being and the state of which your health is. I didn't do it just like that. I came out
Right.
in a straitjacket, screaming at the top of my lungs, and there was a person there that was playing like a nurse that was trying to calm me down. And
Wow.
that immediately got people's attention. It's like,
So
what the heck
creative.
is going on? Right. But then I made sure to weave in what is mental health? What is mental illness? What does self care look like? And then there were other people there who were utilizing poetry. So the way that I inspire is I utilize the gifts that God gave me. God gave
Amen.
me the gift of building very genuine relationships.
Mm.
So I'm calling, I'm checking on people, I'm texting people, and they know it helps them to feel comfortable because I'm sincere. Yet another thing I prayed for was that people could see, feel, and hear my sincerity.
You are let me just chime in right there. She is telling the truth. She is very sincere. It is so warming and welcoming. Like I met you last June 2019, and we
Yeah,
exchanged phone numbers.
yeah.
And she checks on me, y'all. She is so
Yeah.
sweet. Oh,
Like I literally I care what's going on with people. When I'm asking how are you doing, we're not just gonna keep on going on with the conversation. You're like, yeah, so
yeah.
girl, what you been up to? Like, girl, I've been fine. But again, how are you doing? What's been
Yeah.
going on with you? You know what I'm saying? So in that, I utilize my gifts to inspire. I end up realizing that everyone's not great with relationships. Everyone's not
Mm-hmm.
social.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's not transparent. Um, so because God has allowed me to be that way, I utilize that to inspire people. I love Marianne Williamson's uh her poem about our what is it, our greatest fear. I always say it wrong. Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate, but that we are powerful beyond measure.
Wow.
And is yeah, because one of the words I always switch around. But anyway, she talks about when you shine, that you give other people permission to shine as well.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I love that poem. I gotta send it to
Wow.
you.
Yes.
I gotta send it to you.
I would
And
love
so
to put that in the description as
please do.
well.
Please do. Because people go around here hurting and carrying so much, LaTonya, not realizing that you have something locked inside of you that can literally help
Exactly.
unlock the prison that other people are in.
Yes. And that's the purpose of this podcast, for us to share our light and our testimony so
Hmm.
others can be inspired and uplifted.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. So you are living on purpose, ma'am.
Yes. It feels good to finally walk in that, to realize that I actually
Amen.
do have a purpose.
Yeah.
There's a reason that I'm here. Yeah.
Yes. So what can we expect from you in the future?
Oh, wow. So later on this year, because right now, LaTonya, you know how you have these different pieces to a puzzle in your life,
Hmm.
and you may not always know what to do with the pieces. Like,
Right.
like for example, how long have you been singing?
I have been singing since I was little, but professionally since about 2016.
2016. Did you always know that you were going to be a professional singer?
No. Mm-mm.
Didn't always know that. Did you know that you was going to end up doing this podcast?
No, no, I did not.
No.
It fell in my lap.
Fell in your lap. So I asked that because you have these different pieces in your life. You've been singing for years, but you didn't
Hmm.
know that the piece was going to be part of this larger picture of you singing
Exactly.
professionally and for the glory of God and inspiring other people.
Hmm.
You didn't know you're going to do this podcast and have a sister up here talking about mental health awareness and
Yeah.
sharing nuggets that may end up being a blessing to someone else.
Yeah.
So for my life, I've had all these different pieces to the puzzle, but not knowing how to put the pieces together. So right
Mm.
now, I'm in the position of getting coaching to understand exactly what I need to put forth to launch a business the way I'm supposed to. Not, oh, I
Okay.
go and get my LLC, but do you know how to file your taxes? Oh, I want to
Right.
go look. Well, do you know the structure of your company? Oh, well, what's your explanation of services? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So what you will expect of me is the business launch later on this year.
Amen.
Yes, ma'am. You'll see the
Congratulations.
yes. So I'm excited about that, getting that established. But right now I'm going through the coaching part of it to make sure that not only do I start it, but that it is maintained. Because
Yes.
oftentimes we'll ask God for these blessings, but we don't ask how we're supposed to maintain the blessings once we get
Hmm.
them.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So you'll see me out doing more facilitating the workshops, and those workshops will be like for our teams. Like for example, I do one called the Power of Focus. And
Okay.
that's literally what happens when you take the energy, all this energy that you have, and you actually focus on a thing, that your energy is not spread all over the place. How do you set your goals? Not just the goals that your mom and your dad gave you or your teacher gave you,
Mm.
but goals that you actually have for yourself. And what does it take to accomplish those goals? We hear about
Awesome.
SMART goals, but what are your action items? Um, how do you get your tribe together that's going to support you? Because no great person has done anything alone.
Right.
How do you follow through with that? How do you deal with the fact that, listen, something is going to happen to try to go against you
Oh,
accomplishing
yes.
your goal? So, how do you deal with the complications of that? So, I'll be doing more workshops with our teens, and also doing some teaching with people who work with teens, because there are a lot of things that people end up doing wrong
Yeah.
with our teenagers that turns them completely off, and you cannot teach if they do not trust you.
Yeah, that's true now.
Yeah.
That is true. God is amazing. He's doing amazing things in your life. I'm so happy for you.
Yes.
Um, your life has just reminded me how he is the potter and we are the clay.
Come
So
on.
I just want to admonish you to keep striving towards the mark of the high calling. You are such a
Yes.
blessing. Is there anything you want to leave for our listeners?
Anything that I want to leave for the listeners? Dang, look, I need to find one. I need to find one of those quotes. Um, Anything I want to leave for the listeners? Love yourself.
Hmm.
And when I say that, it sounds easy, but
Hmm.
when I tell you to love yourself, remember that love is an action word. So if you
Hmm.
say I do love myself, okay, then how did you show it?
Yes, because love is the action. Hmm.
Yeah, love is an action word. So if you can't tell me the action that displays that you love yourself, you're not doing it. And I need you to work on that. And
Wow.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Miss Tai Caldwell. Thank you so much. I
Yes, ma'am.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you. It is an honor. I look forward to seeing like the great works that you're going to be doing and how Miracles is going to
Oh,
grow even more.
oh, appreciate it. Thank you. I'm gonna say a quick prayer.
Absolutely.
Father in heaven, we thank you today that you have chosen us and that you have given us the mind of Christ. We ask you to show us how we can mold our minds in order to be aligned with your purpose. Complete our joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being of one accord and of one mind in you, Christ our King. In Jesus' name we pray. Well, Miracles, we want to thank Miss Ty Caldwell for coming on and sharing her wonderful testimony with us. She is such a blessing. Be sure to follow her on all her social media outlets. What's your hashtag or your avatar name?
If you are looking on Facebook, then you will look for Tai Caldwell, and in parentheses, it'll have Tai Connects. And if you are on Instagram, look for @Tai Connects. That's
All
me.
right. And
Hmm.
I said avatar name. I'm like a dinosaur. I mean,
Girl,
like,
you're
what's
fine.
your social media handle?
Listen,
Sorry,
we
millennials.
look, we all learning. They're probably like Facebook. People
I
still
know.
use that,
Right.
absolutely, and I use it well. I'm gonna get on the gram. I'm
I
gonna get on the
know.
gram
Yeah,
more.
girl, you better get on the gram
I'm
now.
on there. I just got to get up there more. I got to be more
I
frequent.
know that's right. Well, thank you for joining us on today's episode. And remember, when we ask Jesus to use us for his glory, miracles happen. He gets the glory and he alone gets the honor. Be blessed until next time. Bye.